Okay, cool. So we've got the first episode underway.
Yep.
Very simple premise.
Yeah.
We know where
well
things
executed.
are going.
Very well executed.
It was executed well.
Yeah.
I think we were given a little bit of a heads up that the beginning of this would be a little bit slower.
Yeah, but
a little bit, you know?
I like this though. Like it's
right, but
good.
I can tell that this is a show that's going to be
taking its time.
It's going to be taking its time in
Yes.
that it's got a lot of places it's going to go.
Right.
And we are just beginning the
Right.
beginning of a beginning. Like, you know,
Yeah.
this.
They're not yet to the place where they will take the test to become the hunters. At which point, then all the stuff will start to happen.
Will begin to happen. Yeah. So there's going to be some lead up to that, and I'm okay. But we've got Gon, and Gon's the main character, so he has to be someone that, you know, we like, you know, to
Yes.
some extent. And he's just almost sickeningly adorable. Like,
Yes,
he's so like cute in his innocent, just
full of hope and
care
like positivity
and is it kind of twisted for me to say that I'm excited to see this kid grow up and get hit with reality?
Yeah,
because
it's like
great.
shipping review with character development.
Well, yes,
you know,
but it's also I get kind of the Aang vibe from him. Like if this show came out prior to Avatar: The Last Airbender, I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah, the original definitely did.
I just get this vibe of like he really believes in the goodness of people.
Right. So what happens when that doesn't turn out to be the case?
Right, but what we see right now is we see a character that really wants to answer some questions, but knows that there is a journey before the question gets answered. So they're not impatient. Right. I feel like Gon's really, to his credit, is I don't see him being like frustrated that things can't move along faster towards his goal. I don't get the entitled sense that Bakugo had, you know.
Yes,
and I don't get the nervous, unconfident sense that Deku had. I feel like there's something here where he knows what he wants.
Right.
He doesn't know how he's going to get there, but he knows that things will happen on the way to get there, so why not make the most of it?
Right.
Yeah.
And it looks like he really understands that it is a journey.
He does.
Yeah.
He just wants to start the journey.
Yeah, he wasn't so focused on where he was going that he wasn't able to help out the people on the boat and, you know, and all that stuff. Which is really good because a lot of the times the insane drive that the shonen protagonist determinators can sometimes have, it can make them seem kind of one-dimensional, and they're not doing that, you know, so far.
Yeah,
which is I very much appreciate that.
Yeah, and Gon never really struggled in any of this here, so it'll be interesting to see how he struggles in future episodes.
Yes, that's true.
Who is Mito? Mito-san
is the mother sort of figure.
We don't know if she's a mother, though.
I don't think she is because he called her by her last name with the suffix.
So, is there a potential like sister involved here? Is this like just a caretaker or foster mom kind of thing?
It could be. Okay, so if you follow the general principle rule of thumb, you've got the dad that left and the mom that's dead.
So right now, his mom is MIA at least right now.
Right. We
don't
haven't
know
seen her.
What happened to her. But his dad. We know that the dad's name is Ging or Jing.
Yeah.
What do you sense off of that? Because what I sense is there's this little bit of like portents, like, you know, like it's that this is something there's like, oh, it's finally happening, where they're not all thrilled about it. It's kind of
I am almost getting this weird. Now, I know it's not going to be this, but I'm almost getting this weird Harry Potter Voldemort vibe. Where, basically, Ging, since he's already abandoned his kid, the general assumption to be made there is that either he's doing stuff that's very, very, very important, or he's just not that great a guy, or both. You know. So
I think it gets really into the speculation territory of, do we sense that they're foreshadowing a confrontation eventually with his father, or a shocking truth that we learned about his father, where there's like no like actual confrontation? It's just like, your father's passed away, but when he was here, he was the greatest hunter there ever was.
Right, or he was a pirate, or,
Yeah, or he was a defender of the weak and the innocent, and he was a protector of all the world and all that. We don't know, but he did something important.
Right, and if they make it be something where his dad isn't who he thought he was, that can be great conflict for Gon, because in doing that, they will cause him to call into question his original motivations, his dream to be a hunter, and he'll have to solidify it in something for himself, not something in just, I want to be like my dad.
Right.
Which is a very, we can sympathize with that desire, of course, a ton, but I feel like that'll be a great and potentially very painful way for him to grow as a character.
For sure. So, it's HunterxHunter, the name of the show.
Right.
And Gon wants to become the greatest hunter. So that's kind of obvious there.
Yep.
He lived on Whale Island. Reminds me of Whale Tail Island from Avatar.
I was thinking of that too.
It's got that kind of perfect little village of the shonen protagonist upbringing thing. There wasn't any destruction of said village, which I'm kind of glad.
And they left said village, so it's probably going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, there could be something where he comes back and it's not the same.
Oh, yeah, that would
suck.
That'd be crazy.
But Gon's dad, you touched on it, but Gon's dad left specifically because he became a hunter.
Right.
So this was his own choice. Okay. And Gon chooses to look at this as this was something that was so important that he chose to leave his son.
That is very
naive in a
forgiving.
in a very forgiving way. But think about it this way. That's him setting himself up for failure, basically.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of problems thinking that kind of way. But these other characters, we got Kurapiko
and Leorio.
Yeah. First off, Kurapiko, intentionally androgynous, or is it?
No, it's a girl.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure she's a girl. So
all right, guys, help us out. Unless it's a plot point. Right. Is Kurapiko a boy or a girl, or is it not important?
If it's a reveal, don't tell us, though.
Well, no, but also it might be a thing where it's it's not important the gender of Kurapiko.
Well, I think okay. So one of the things we've been told is that this show does its characters very well, and also its female characters.
I didn't know about that.
Oh, or maybe that was people talking about HunterxHunter or My Hero Academia. Yeah. But I could totally see this character being a girl, because that would be an awesome way to establish a female character in a lead role and do them justice with having them actually be important, as opposed to the stereotype that they aren't important a lot of the times, especially in shonen.
Or that they're only a romance option for the main character.
Exactly.
And right now it looks like there's an age gap to where Gon wouldn't be.
Right. And then there's also the fact that so far she was the character that has the backstory, that has the sort of plot relevance. Gon has the dream, but they're the one that has
he has the connection to the father.
He has the connection to his father, but they have a connection to this band of ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, I took notes on this stuff. So she's from the Kurta clan,
right?
And they were wiped out approximately 4 years ago by a group of bandits called the Phantom Troop, or some group of bandits connected to the Phantom Troop. And the Phantom Troop apparently is a Class A bounty.
Right.
Which means that regular hunters, experienced hunters, wouldn't go after the Phantom Troop.
Yeah.
So they're already setting up potential antagonists for not only just these characters, but for the potential future story arcs and stuff.
Okay, and here's something. So I could totally see them making those be the villains early on, and then have Gon's dad, any development that happens with that, be much more stretched out into the distance.
Yeah.
And it would show Gon basically doing something to help other people, whereas most of the time in shonens the conflict is all centered around the main character and what they want to do. Having the conflict be centered around a different character, specifically the female character of the group, that, especially if they don't do it as a romance mission type thing, any of that bullcrap, then that would be very refreshing, and that might explain one of the reasons why this show has such a good reputation. You know?
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's exciting. They were asked why they want to be hunters, and
Money.
they gave very, very opposite reasons. We have the vengeance, tragic backstory, reasons of Kurapika, or Kurapiko. I think it's Kurapiko.
Yeah.
And it's
then
like,
money.
oh, that's horrible. And then just straight up,
Money.
Leorio's money.
Yep.
Anything he can get. And it's kind of setting him up as the comedic relief character.
But not completely. Like, I don't know.
But like what we have is a character who's right now their ego isn't as strong necessarily, like their self-confidence.
Yes,
so just some random person disrespecting them, they got all offended,
That's
bent out
true.
of shape, and demanded that they fight or he would kill her.
Right.
So either he's not serious about things like that, which would influence the more comedic character role that he's going to be, or he really is doing this so that people will value him more, and he thinks that money is a way that people will respect him more.
Yeah.
So he's talking about all these things he could buy, and she said you couldn't buy class, which is a funny way of saying, you know, in a like class, you could think about it in another sense, a class-based society, meaning it can't move him up into a higher ranking in society where he'll get more respect, which is really what he wants.
Well, and it could also be a reverse thing where he thinks if he has people's respect, then he'll get more money. Like where basically if he's able to elevate him to some higher class of society, then people will take him more seriously, and if there's these bounty things or whatever, he'll be able to get more money from them.
Yeah, potentially. That's pretty cool.
I mean, this guy could be a comic relief character, but when I saw him and he said his goal was money, I immediately thought of Flynn Rider from Tangled, and I really like what they did with that character, so I'm optimistic.
So right now they both have their, or maybe all three of them have their naive goals.
Sure, yeah.
Their goals are very simplistic and not as, maybe wise.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, I would say Kurapiko's is the most well thought out and well developed one.
Sure.
But to an extent, it is a vengeance plot, which is almost never good for the person who's on the vengeance plot.
And she said her one biggest fear was that the vengeance would die out.
Right, that her rage her fury would die out, and her eyes glowed red. So that's probably a hint at her powers.
Sure.
But not only that, it's a very self-destructive path to hold on to something and intentionally keep fueling it for the sake of keeping it alive.
Yeah.
Because if something is dying out like that, let it die. That's the kind of thing where you realize, it's not as important to you, actually. And I think what she's wanting to do is honor the memory of those of her clan that fell. And she feels like by holding on to that rage, she's doing their memories justice. She's helping to do their memory and their lives justice by eventually finding and killing those who killed them.
Now, I know you don't know much about Naruto, but did her character give you at all a Sasuke vibe? My whole clan's been killed.
I don't
I'm on a vengeance
really know anything about Naruto.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
I know little bits here and there, but not really enough. So she gave you a Sasuke vibe?
Yeah, well, and it was just one of those things that made me wonder, because we're all thinking okay, Gon's so innocent and naive right now. What's some of the ways that could be taken away? What if it ended up being that thing of the best friend that ends up going down a darker path and, they end up on different sides?
I think this show was recommended to us so much because it does things simply but executed really well.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening, but I feel like we need to leave them a little bit of wiggle room for potentially doing things in an unstereotypical way. In a not stereotypical way. I don't know if I can predict much of anything about these three characters.
From just the first episode? Yeah. Okay.
But it's a good start.
It was.
Because they they gave us a lot of clear direction.
Yes, they did.
And I feel very safe going into the future episodes because I know it's all going to pertain to the Hunter exam.
Right.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I was worried going into this because I'd heard that it was slow in the beginning. But if each episode has this kind of quality of, I mean, not going anywhere super fast, but doing it well, you know.
Yeah.
Then
we'll do
this
fine.
will be great.
We'll be great. If anything, we'll probably, remember the first 3 or 6 episodes or something and be like, haha, yeah, that was fun when we didn't know anything.
Yeah.
that was
fun.
Fun.
Nothing gone snow.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I gotta give a shout out to the outro for this episode.
Yeah.
Can't have it in the reaction, of course, copyright reasons. But I apparently have heard that before. I didn't know what it was from, but that outro was awesome.
I was not expecting that kind of like electronic sound.
Yeah, and then the random heavy metal screaming or roaring.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty awesome.
Do you think that's foreshadowing of what's to come?
I don't know how it would
I don't
be,
know.
but it could be. I don't know. I think that this show is going to hold back on the foreshadowing until they get to like an actual like training place for hunters.
Once they're really well established and
they can introduce the ensemble cast and
Uh-huh.
all that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah.
HunterxHunter's a thing. We're going to be doing them every Tuesday.
Yes.
And if you want to watch the next episode right now, go check out the link in the description for our Patreon, and you can watch our next reaction early. But yeah, guys, we'll see you in the next video. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.